We're in a different situation with Donald Trump, a convicted predator who's seriously undermining the democratic process in the United States, and he thinks he can just push us around. Exactly. He insults us. Yep. You know, the Conservatives seem to like it because he's insulting our Prime Minister, but he's not really insulting the Prime Minister. He's insulting Canadians, calling us the 51st state.
That's right, exactly.
You know, once there was a Canada that had a flag that didn't need to be waved. A flag that represented who we are. We didn't boast about it. It wasn't until our flag was appropriated by conspiracy haters and stuck on pickup trucks, promoting all kinds of disinformation. Our flag was something that just said, it's about values. And it's something that we all understood. We didn't have to brag about. We didn't have to brag about that when we were a country of 11 million people and the Americans were saying, oh, we don't want to go to war. On the very first day Hitler invaded Poland, 11 million Canadians stood up and created the fourth largest air force in the world, the fourth largest navy in the world. We sent our young people all across the world to defend the notion of freedom and parliamentary democracy. And we paid an enormous price. And we came back and we didn't wave the flag then. We just came back and did what we did because we were Canadians. But here we are with this falsehood being perpetrated by the member who lives in Stornoway, that whatever Donald Trump says, he will use to burn the house down to the Prime Minister. So he's using this falsehood on fentanyl, which is an absolute falsehood. I have the Drug Enforcement Agency on classified reports on fentanyl. Fentanyl, they write about China. They write about India. They write about Mexico. There's just one very tiny thing about a small amount coming from Canada. That's not the issue. Fentanyl's not the issue, but the Conservatives will use that falsehood, threatening a 25% tariff. You can bet that these dumbed-down speeches claiming that Canada's broken border and a fentanyl trafficking area is going to be used on every right-wing blogcast and on Fox News to further undermine our country. Exactly. They would do that. They would burn our house to the ground because they don't care about truth. They wouldn't know what truth was if Truth came down, Lady Truth came down, naked, painted purple, and danced all over Stornoway for weeks. The member wouldn't notice. But I say that jokingly, but it's not a joke, because what Trump's really after is our water. He's made it clear. He said there's a giant faucet in Canada and you just turn it on. There was a time when we would have defended those resources, but you can bet if Donald Trump says, I want Canada's water, the Conservatives will use this House of Commons to promote his attack on our resources. Exactly. To take what they can take, because they don't take us seriously. They think they can push us around, and they can only push us around if we have fifth columnists. You know, fifth columnists was what they called Franco's people, who undermined the defense of democracy in Spain. People who would undermine their own country to score a point. Another term was quislings. Yep. We need to stand up to Donald Trump, not to be boasting like he boasts and not to be threatening like he threatens, but to stand for Canadian values. Hear, hear. That no, we will counter falsehood with truth. That we will be a good neighbor, that we will protect our border, but that we will not be pushed around. Not the way the member who lives in Stornoway will amplify falsehoods and misuse the House of Commons, knowing that it is putting Canadian jobs and families directly at risk because they don't care. Yeah. They don't care because it's about burning the house to the ground to get to the Prime Minister. So I'm not even going to go down into the gutter with them where they make these falsehoods about how the Prime Minister, who I don't agree with on hardly anything, that he somehow created the fentanyl crisis that caused thousands of deaths. That's an ugly falsehood. It's just a straight up lie. But they use that all the time. But to have them come into the House of Commons and talk about defending the border, when under Stephen Harper, they trashed border security. That's right. Remember when Tony Clement took $50 million out of border security and spent it on bogus projects in his riding, like the gazebos and the sunken boats and the fake lakes. Fake lakes. They took money that would have protected our borders and used that so shamelessly when they fired 1,100 jobs from the Canada Border Services. And they were told the threats that would be. And they got rid of the dog sniffer teams. Maybe Stephen Harper doesn't know what a dog sniffer team is. A dog sniffer team is what you use to sniff out drugs. It was the Harper government who got rid of that. They got rid of their intelligence agency at the border. They got rid of their teams who went undercover to take on the smuggling gangs. Wow. That's the record of Stephen Harper. So when they come in this house and pretend they stand for Canada, we know they don't stand for Canada. When they come in this house and say they'll stand up on the world stage, we know that they supported Putin and undermining the votes for Ukraine. Yeah. And when they say they'll defend the border, they're only defending the interests of Donald Trump, and they would sell us down the river, but not on my watch, not on our watch, not ever. We will stand up for Canada.
Hear, hear.
And comments, the Honourable Prime